Carlos Saavedra and Susan Saavedra, will present this topic, Cohesion and Texture, which is based on the book, the Handbook of Discourse Analysis by J.R. Martin. And to begin with, it must be clear that these two concepts. So let's start with texture. Texture is one aspect of the study of coherence, which takes into account the social context of it. It is a process where a reading position is naturalized by text for listeners and readers. It is also important to emphasize that this process involves understanding and expectations about the social context constructed by a text. So basically, cohesion is the grammatical and lexical linking that it is found within a text. And that, as the word says, it holds a text together and gives meaning. We also can find that there are five headings of cohesion, which are reference, ellipsis, substitution, conjunction, and lexical cohesion. So let's start with reference. Reference implies the resources to refer to a participant or element that can be then recounted. Then we have ellipsis, which means the resources to omit a clause or some part of a clause. In other words, it's the omission of a word or part of a sentence, but still the sentence can be understood. Then we have substitution, which has to do with the replacement of a word, group of words, or sentence segments. And conjunction, that, as we know, are connectors which link clauses, words that connect words, phrases, or clauses in a sentence. And finally, we have a concept that is divided into reiteration and collocation. The concept of reiteration is also divided into 5 different aspects, which are repetition, synonym, hyponym, metonym, and antonym. These concepts briefly refer to, for example, repetition is a word, as we know, that has been stated and then is repeated. Then synonym is, of course, the relationship between two words which have the same meaning. Hyponym is defined as the sense relationship between words. Then we have antonym, which is the opposite meaning of metonym, which is a term to describe a part, whole relationship between lexical items. And finally, we have the concept of collocation, which is also part of lexical cohesion, which, as it can be seen here, the relationship between words on the basis of the fact that these occur in the same sound. And now my classmate Carlos Saavedra will continue with another concept.
In addition to what was said before by my classmate, I would like to introduce you another concept, which is discourse semantics. This concept refers to text-oriented, as it says here, text-oriented resources dedicated to the analysis of cohesive relations as discourse structure. Besides, discourse semantics comprises four important aspects, which are identification, negotiation, conjunction, and ideation. The first one refers to resources for tracking participants in discourse. In other words, it considers the way in which participants are introduced in a text and keeping track of them. The next one is negotiation, and it has to do with the resources for exchange of information and of goods and service in a dialogue. Furthermore, it considers the ways in which interlocutors initiate and respond in adjacency pairs. Adjacency means the quality or state of being adjacent and immediately preceding or following, no distant. Then, another important concept is conjunction. Conjunction is related to the resources that are used to connect messages via ideation, comparison, temporality, and causality. Moreover, it considers the ways in which connections are made with a sentence through verbs, prepositions, and nouns. I will also like to tell you that conjunction has an important aspect which says that works with this concept include internal and external conjunctive relations. Finally, we have ideation. Ideation deals with the semantics of lexical relations as they are deployed to construe institutional activity. It considers the ways in which activities, sequences, and taxonomic relations organize the field discourse. Additionally, this study includes patterns of interactions among discourse semantics, lexical grammar, and phonology, among others. In addition to this, another concept mentioned by Martin in this study is cohesive harmony. Cohesive harmony is about how strings and chains interact as far as experiential grammar is concerned. In other words, it is a sensitive technique to measure coherence, but not an adequate one, due to that it leaves some parameters of texture aside. Here we can find an important question which says, what's the purpose of cohesive harmony analysis? And we can add to this that the purpose of cohesive harmony analysis is to provide a measure of the coherence of a text. Nevertheless, it doesn't consider negotiation, conjunction, analysis, method of development, point or modal responsibility. Then, some other important concepts that are comprised here are, firstly, interaction, which occurs when two or more members of a string or chain relate in the same way to two or more members of another string or chain. Then the other concept is to render lexical. Means to make explicit all the ellipses and substitution so that points of interaction are not missed. Finally, we have this concept, grammatical metaphor. Here there are two clear meanings about this concept, which are, first, it is a critical resource to catalyze an interaction. And then it says, it is a resource for grammatically reconstructing meanings as alternative wordings. Now my classmate is going to introduce you another important concept, which is modern social context.
To continue with this study, the author provides another title for this chapter. So the title of this chapter, as it can be seen here, yes, is Modeling Social Context, which includes register and genre. But the author only provides a brief definition about what is gender, or what gender is, instead of the register, which is the main focus of this study. So, to begin with, I would like to define genre first, which is here, which is defined as an overall stage development of meaning to fulfill a particular social context of situation and context of culture. On the other hand, the case of register, it is a configuration of meaning in context of situation and context of culture. As you can notice here, there is something similar, which is the context of situation and context of culture. Those concepts will be discussed later on. In Halliday's description of register, the mediating concept implies that register has a central place in relating language to social context. So language and context and the social context, the social environment is very, very significant here. Then we have an acronym that should be clarified, which is SFL, and it stands for Systemic Functional Linguistics. In SFL, social context is modeled through register and genre theory. So again, genre is connected to register. In this same slide, you can see three concepts which has been discussed already. The first one is interpersonal meaning, then we have ideational meaning, and finally textual meaning. Interpersonal meaning is related to enactment of social relations, that is to say, the social reality. The author, Martin, provides another name for these three categories. The first one is tenor. Then we have ideational meaning, which is related to the construction of institutional activity, naturalized reality. And for this author, that is field. Finally, textual meaning is related to information or how information flows across media. That is the semiotic reality. And he provides another name, as I said before, which is mode. But what are the meanings of these three concepts, tenor, field, and mode? I would like to start by defining field. Field is concerned with system of activity, including description of the participants, also description of the process, and finally description of the situations that these participants face. Then we have tenor, which is concerned with social relations, as these are enacted through the dimensions of power and solidarity. And finally, mode is concerned with semiotic distance, as this is affected by the various channels of the communication, the different channels of communications, which can be oral or written. Martin also refers to the system of tenor, field, and mode as a collective thing, and he provides a name for these three, which is register 2.0. Therefore, Martin refers to this, as I said before, as a register 2.0, which implies these three categories: tenor, field, and mode. The register motivates the patterns of cohesion in the text and the realization in truth through lexical grammar, which has been something that my classmate mentioned before. Finally, we got some conclusions. The first one said that the ways in which cohesion can be reconstructualized as discourse semantics, And then we have the four concepts that my classmate explained before, which were identification, negotiation, conjunction, and ideation. We also review the study of texture, that coherence is viewed as from the social perspective, from the social context perspective, and in overall, Martin also provides the information about the following investigations that can be done. In this case, he expects that in the future, our understanding of cohesion, texture, and coherence can be enhanced by further work on cohesion in relation to other modules. That is to say that there are few information about this topic, which is cohesion, right? And that's why he tries to emphasize the importance of this concept. Taking everything into account, we have that cohesion is simply one aspect of texture, which has to be understood with respect to the interaction of identification, negotiation, conjunction, and ideation. Those are related to each other, and they must be related as well with the lexical grammar and phonological system through the one or through which they are realized. Finally, if possible, you can see here the references: Florent, Faith, Gregory, and Martin. Some of them weren't mentioned in this video, but they are in the summary for you to know.